15, maybe roughly,
Okay,
I think. I don't know the exact number, but.
sure. And you said drinking was going on. Did you witness the defendant consume any alcoholic beverages at Shortbread?
Yes, sir.
Understanding that probably no one would expect you to remember exactly, but to the best of your recollection, what did you see him drink?
It's a few shots, and then maybe 1 or 2 beers. I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. How about you?
It's just beer.
Okay. And anything else you remember about your time at Shortbread, or was that basically it? Hanging out, drinking?
That was pretty much it.
Okay. Best you can remember, how long were you there?
I think it was like an hour
Okay.
or so.
And when you left, to the best of your recollection, about what time was it and where did you go?
I guess at this point, maybe 11:30 going on 12 or something like that. And we went to La Reyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had you ever been there before?
No, sir.
Okay. How did you get there?
We walked.
What did your group consist of at this point? Was it about the same group that went over to Shortbread, or was it different?
I think it was a little bit different. What I remember, there was girls to go with us this time. I don't remember their names, but they were at Shortbread Loft and then walked over to La Reyes.
Okay. Was Case with you at this point?
He could have been. I don't exactly remember if he was.
Okay. Was he with the group that went over to Shortbread?
I believe he was there, but not positive.
Okay. So now you're at La Rez. Did they check IDs at the door there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you showed your identification because you were 21?
Yes, sir.
Did you see whether the defendant used some kind of ID to get in there?
Well, since they're checking everybody's, so some ID was shown.
Okay. You don't remember if you saw it or not?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. When you got there, were you still with the defendant?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you drink any alcoholic beverages when you were there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did the defendant?
Yes, sir.
To the best of your recollection, what did you witness him drink?
I know around a tequila shots was bought, and then we got split up for a moment, and I ran back into him, and he had a beer with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is while you were still at La Rez?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Best of your recollection, how long were you there?
Maybe an hour or less.
Okay. And so, as best you can recall, what time did you leave there and where did you go?
Left there maybe 12:30, going on 1-ish. Then we walked to He's Not Here.
Okay. Had you ever been there before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Had you been there with the defendant before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Had you ever been there not with the defendant?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so when you got to He's Not Here, were they checking IDs at the door there too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you got there, did you consume any alcohol?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you drink?
I drank beer.
Okay. Was it one of the big blue cups?
Yes, sir.
Okay. To your knowledge, did the defendant drink any alcohol when he was there?
I believe he had a blue cup as well.
Okay. Do you know did he get your blue cup for you?
No, I purchased my own.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, yes.
Okay. So at this point, how would you describe what your group was? The group that left La Rez and went to He's Not Here, what did that group consist of?
I remember I don't know if everyone from Larez went over to He's Not Here, but I can't remember everybody. It was still us three and then a few other fraternity guys.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Any
believe.
girls at this point?
I think Becca was there as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably safe to say the group, as people were getting more, drinking more, and night was getting later, it would be harder to define exactly who was where, when.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, did you stay at He's Not Here until it closed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so did you leave sometime shortly after 2, or was it right at 2, do you know?
I think it was right at 2.
Okay.
I believe.
Okay. Now, at this point, when you leave He's Not Here, what did your group consist of?
It was, from what I remember, it was me, Ditz, Josh, Chandler, and Case. There could have been others, but I just remember that group.
So the group, as you remember it at this point now, is the Ashboro guys along with Ditz and Case from the UNC Friends.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What happened next?
So we were leaving, and then Chandler and Case, they got in some argument, I believe. Someone was getting heated. I don't know about what, but conversation seemed to get heated, and we were planning on walking back to the fraternity house. And
Let's back up a little bit. Okay, so you leave He's Not Here. Did anything occur that got you separated from the defendant?
yes,
What happened?
there was an altercation going on, like a fight was breaking out or something. And me and Ditz went to go over to check it out, just to see what was going on. And that's when I broke
So
off.
you and Ditz broke away from that group of 5 to see what was up with the fight?
Yes, sir.
That didn't involve you all at all, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Where was that fight?
So when you're, I forgot which street. I guess you're crossing some street and it was to the right. Headed, I don't know where it was, on what road.
Somewhere between He's Not Here and the fraternity house.
Yes, sir.
Would you say it was closer to the He's Not Here or closer to the fraternity house?
Closer to He's Not Here.
Okay. Somewhere on or around Franklin Street.
Yes, sir.
Got it. Okay. So, is there a So, nothing wrong with it, but even Ditz was a new friend to you at that point. But it just happened to be that the two that broke off to see this thing was you and Ditz, not you and Josh.
Yes, sir. Just me and Ditz.
Okay. Then, did you catch back up with the other 3 at some point?
Well, we left that altercation after it was over with or whatever. And then we saw Case and Josh walking back without Chandler. And so,
Okay.
yeah.
So the argument that you referred to, you heard about it, didn't see it?
Yes, heard about it. I just heard loud talking going back and forth, but I didn't actually see it because I split off, yeah.
Okay. So I want to clarify this if possible. You're separate from the other 3, and then you leave the altercation, and then you start walking towards the fraternity house?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where are the other 3 when you and Ditz first leave the altercation?
We first leave.
Yeah. What do you, as far as your group, what do you see and where are they?
So me and Ditz are leaving, and we see Case and Josh walking back towards us.
Case and Josh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that's the part I'm not sure I understand, but you also said you heard loud arguing
Yes, sir.
between Case and Josh?
That was before we crossed. No, before Case and Chandler. They're arguing.
So are you saying you noticed an argument start before you broke off to see the altercation?
sir.
Got it. Okay, then let's back up a little bit. You leave He's Not Here. Are Case and the defendant arguing at that point when you're walking out of the bar?
When we're walking out, conversation just seemed to get louder and a little more heated, so yeah.
Okay. What were they saying?
I don't exactly remember.
Okay. Do you inexactly remember? Do you remember at all?
Could have been about some girl, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the argument was about or anything, no.
Okay. And so, Case and the defendant are walking together when you break away to take a look at this fight, but by the time you kind of turn back to the group, you're just seeing Case and Josh.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, the two of them are walking back. Did they tell you what's going on?
No. We asked Case what's up, and he just kept going.
You sure you don't remember him saying something?
I don't remember him saying anything.
You were standing right next to Ditz at that point, right?
Yes, sir.
And Case came walking by you. And you're saying at that point when Case came walking by you, you don't remember him saying anything?
Not when he's walking by me, no.
Okay, do you remember him saying anything around that time?
No, sir.
Okay. So what happened next?
I had this weird gut feeling. So me and Ditz went back to the fraternity house because we didn't see Chandler, and saw Chandler go past the fraternity house towards the parking lot. And so,
Okay. So, is the parking lot next to the fraternity house?
yes, sir.
So when you say he went past the fraternity house, you mean like he didn't go like he was going in the house, he went like he was going to the lot? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happened then?
So me, Ditz, and Josh run to catch up with him just to make sure he's not going there. And
What do you
then
mean by make sure he's not going there?
to his car. I just had this weird gut feeling.
Why was that concerning to you?
Just came out of nowhere. I don't know. Because he went past the fraternity house and his car was there, so.
Right. Why would it be concerning to you for him to be going towards his car?
He's been drinking.
Okay. So what happened next?
So then us three try and catch up with him. Josh fell from what I remember, and I had to catch my breath, and Ditz got to him first. And that's when I saw, and Ditz was on the ground, and then Chandler was on top, and then by the time I got there, Chandler was already in his car.
Okay. How far away from them were you when you saw this happen? When you saw Chandler on top of Ditz, what was the distance between you and them?
Maybe a little more from me to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't
Darkness
exactly
and-
remember.
darkness and alcohol aside, you were in a pretty good place to be able to see them, right?
Yes, sir.
And to hear them too, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What were they saying?
I don't remember exactly what was being said.
Okay. Do you remember inexactly? What was the general tenor of what they were saying?
Just trying. Exactly, like.
Well, I asked you if you remember what they're saying, and you said I don't exactly, which makes me think there's a chance you remember generally what they were saying. So generally, what was Ditz saying? What was Chandler saying?
I don't remember like any exact words. No, that's
Okay. So let's back up a step. You're all going towards the parking lot to check out to make sure Chandler doesn't get in his car. But Josh falls and you take a breath. So
Yes,
you get
sir.
behind Ditz a little.
yes, sir.
Okay. Describe as specifically as you can, what did Ditz do? He got to Chandler first. What did he do?
I don't remember the initial thing that he did. I just remember what I see. Ditz was on the ground, and then Chandler's on top. So
Okay. Was it clear to you what Ditz was trying to do?
yes,
What was he trying to do?
just stop Chandler.
Okay. And did you see when Ditz fell to the ground?
No,
You didn't.
not that I remember. No, sir.
Okay. So after you did say you saw the defendant on top of Ditz, what happened next?
He broke away. Chandler broke away from Ditz and then proceeded to his car.
Okay. What happened next?
So then me and Ditz approached Chandler on the driver's side, just trying to talk to him. Talk to him, don't go or whatever. And then next thing I know, Ditz grabs Chandler's phone, and then Chandler grabs the keys, puts them in the ignition. Then I reach over, try and grab the keys, and then Chandler grabs my arm, starts it up, and throws it in reverse.
Okay. So at this point, when you're interacting with the defendant, you are as closer than the court reporter is to you right now. You're in arm's reach, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at this point, you can clearly see and hear what the defendant is saying and doing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You said that you and Ditz were trying to talk to him to not drive. What were you saying?
What was I saying?
Yes.
I was saying, Chandler, what are you doing, man? It's like, this is me. Like, what are you doing?
Okay. What was Ditz saying?
I don't exactly remember what Ditz was saying.
Okay. What was the defendant saying?
I don't remember his exact words. I just know it wasn't necessarily responsive. I mean,
Okay. You said that Ditz reached for and got the phone. Do you remember where he reached to get it?
yeah, it was sitting right here.
On the defendant's chest?
Yeah, yes, sir.
The phone was here?
Yeah, from what I remember, yes, sir.
Okay. And you said that Ditz got a hold of that and took it.
Yes, sir.
What did you understand to be the reasoning behind him taking that phone?
Maybe try to convince him just to stay or get out of the car.
Okay. And then you said that the defendant reached for and got the keys. Where were they?
They're beside the phone as well.
Both laying on his chest?
It was like chest, lap area.
Okay. And so he grabs the keys and puts them in the ignition, and around that time, you grab for the keys too.
Yes, sir.
In fact, did you reach and try to get the keys out of the ignition?
Yes, sir. I reached for it.
Okay. And I'm assuming at this point the door is closed, right?
It could have been open because it was a Jeep door. Could have been closed.
Okay. Well, then, were you reaching in through the doorway or the window?
Could have been doorway, yeah. So I guess the door was open then.
All right. Okay. So when you reached for the keys, you said next he put it in reverse and pulled out.
Yes, sir.
At that point, where were you?
I was still in the parking lot.
Where were you in relation to the car and the door?
Oh, when the car backed up, I remember kind of holding on to the door a little bit, and it shot backwards a little bit, and then you just pulled out.
Okay. So did you get knocked to the ground too?
Knocked to the ground?
Yes.
No, sir.
Did you get hit by the door?
That's because I was holding on to it.
Sure. But when he put it, you're hanging on to the side of the car, trying to get the keys, he put it in reverse. You got hit by that car in some way.
You're saying I was hit by that car?
I'm asking. If the answer is no, the answer is no.
No.
I'll try to clarify. I don't mean you got hit by the front or the rear bumper. I mean, I don't want you to feel like you have to say something. I just want to understand. If you are in the doorway of a car that goes in reverse while you're standing in the doorway, tell me how you don't get hit by some part of that car when it pulls back.
The door gave way. Like, the door shot backwards.
Okay, so the door, like, is it
Yeah,
one of
it
those
was-
doors where the door flaps all the way
Yes.
forward? Okay. What made it flap forward? Your body?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so he puts it in reverse. What happens next?
So me, Ditz, and Josh are still there in the parking lot, and then 5 minutes later he pulls back in. He doesn't throw it in park and just pulls out again.
Okay. You said earlier that the defendant is one of your best friends.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is he still one of your best friends?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what he did that night doesn't change the fact that he's still your friend.
Yes, sir.
And you understand that he's on trial for serious crimes and he's in trouble, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you would prefer it that he get in as little trouble as possible, right? You don't want to see your friend go to prison, right?
No, sir.
Okay. So the reason I ask that is I understand why you want to skip over some details, but it's my job to ask you about as much detail as you can remember, okay?
Yes, sir.
After he put it in reverse, he didn't go driving off in reverse, right? He put it in reverse. So what happened then? He pulled out of the parking spot, and then did he put it in forward?
Yeah, like, throw a reverse like you're pulling out of a parking spot, and then put it in drive and go out.
Okay. And so he pulled out of the parking lot of the SIGEP fraternity house, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which way did he turn when he came out of the parking lot?
I believe it was right.
Okay. And I know you might not be super familiar with Chapel Hill, but do you know about there being an inn right across the street from the fraternity house called Carolina Inn? You familiar with that?
I think I've heard the name before, but I'm not exactly familiar with the place.
Fair enough. The fraternity house is on a corner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. So when he pulled out, he would have been on a street called Cameron Avenue. If you don't know, that's okay. Do you know?
No, sir.
Okay. But you do know that it's on a corner. When he turned right onto that street, did he hook an immediate right onto the street on the corner, or did he go straight?
I don't remember.
Okay. So the last thing you remember is that he pulled out of the parking lot, and you don't remember, other than turning right, where he went?
No idea.
Okay. Did you do anything to go try to find him or stop him?
I remember walking around, walking as far as I could, not kind of backtracking towards, like, he's not here, kind of that way. Then at some point, fraternity brother picked me, I think Josh was there as well, picked us up and drove to his apartment looking for his car. And that's about it, search-wise.
All right, so you mentioned it earlier, so I just want to clarify. You said you sort of went around looking around to see if you could find him, but in the meantime, you mentioned earlier that he came back.
Oh, yes, sir.
Right. And you mentioned that. I'm not saying you skipped that on purpose, but so about how long later did he come back?
Maybe 5 minutes or so.
Okay. Where were you when he came back?
Still in the parking lot.
Okay. Like in the exact same place you were standing when he left?
No, I think I moved around. I don't exactly remember.
Okay. So when he came back in the parking lot, describe as best you can where he went when he went back in the parking lot.
Pulled in. Took like an immediate right into a parking spot, and then he didn't park it, but just reverse and then back out again.
Okay. So it's your recollection that he did not stop at all in the parking spot?
Well, like, I guess when you put in drive, you're pulling in, and then you put it on brake, and then in reverse. So I guess a little bit, yeah.
Okay. Did you try to, did you try to stop him when he came back in then?
We just wanted to stay there and like let him put it in park. And then
Why so?
just, I don't know, just thought that would be best at the time.
Right. If he would put it in park, what would that allow you to possibly be able to do?
Then go towards him, you know, go to the car,
To do what?
get him out of there.
Okay. Were you worried about him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. But did you have a chance to make a physical move towards him when he came back in the parking lot?
No, sir.
Okay. But you had a mind to do it. You wanted to be able to do it. You just didn't even get a chance. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So then he pulled back out. Did he go the same direction he went the last time?
I believe so, yes.
Do you remember if he went straight or turned right then?
I don't remember from there. No,
Okay.
no, sir.
All right. So is that when you sort of started walking around back towards He's Not Here to see if you could figure out where he went?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so you said you met up with one of his fraternity brothers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what happened then?
So, one of them had a car, and we just drove
Okay.
looking around and went to Chandler's apartment and didn't see his car there.
Okay. So it's okay if you don't remember, but do you think that might have been Mason McConnell, who was the fraternity brother that was driving?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I believe so it was, yeah.
Okay. So, one of the places you remember going to look for him in that car was at his apartment on Martin Luther King, the Mill
Yes,
Creek.
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. You didn't see him there,
No, sir.
and so, do you remember looking anywhere else?
We could have, but, I mean, once again, I'm not too familiar with Chapel Hill, so.
Fair enough. And then, I guess, once you called off the search, what'd you do then?
Just went to Chandler's fraternity house and crashed on the couch.
Okay. Do you remember, well, let me ask you this. You said that you saw Ditz take the phone from the defendant. Did you or Josh get it from him at some point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what was the reasoning behind, why did he give it to you? Well, let me clarify. Did he give it to you or did he give it to Josh?
He gave it to me.
Okay. Were you thinking that because you all had come there together, you might be leaving together, you'd see him before he would? Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you remember at some point, prior to getting a ride home from Mason, running into or encountering, I should say, case with a girl in a parking lot. Do you remember that at all?
I remember running into Becca.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember her offering to get you all an Uber if you wanted, to give you a ride to the defendant's apartment? Do you recall that?
I don't remember that.
Okay. But you remember running to her after the defendant had driven away?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you told her about something about what had just happened?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was that before or after you got in the car with Mason to go look for the defendant?
It might have been before, because I believe I walked first, and that's when I ran into her,
Okay.
and then drove around.
Okay. But that walk that resulted in running into Rebecca happened after the second time that the
Yes, sir.
defendant.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was this weekend the first time that you had ever smoked marijuana and drunk alcohol with the defendant?
No, sir.
Was college the first time that you drank and smoked with the defendant?
No, sir.
Did you drink and smoke with him during your high school years too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When would you say is the first time that you consumed alcohol with him? In terms of year of school?
Junior year high school.
Okay. Do you remember what kind of alcohol you drank with him?
It'd vary. It never really was beer. Anything from Mike's Hard to vodka or whatever.
Okay. Mike's Hard, is that Mike's Hard Lemonade?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you remember the first time that you smoked marijuana with him?
Yes, sir.
Year of school?
Senior year,
Okay.
high school.
How would you describe the defendant's demeanor when he drove off that night?
Demeanor.
Yeah, how was he acting?
Wasn't himself.
Okay. Did he appear happy?
No.
Did he appear sad?
No.
Did he appear angry?
Just agitated.
Okay. Do you remember doing an interview with our investigator in the DA's office, Rob Barron? African-American gentleman, works with us.
Like personal interview with him?
By telephone.
Oh, yes, sir. I believe questions were given and I answered. Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. Did he ask you about that question, about how you would describe his demeanor that night? Do you remember him asking you about that?
He may have. I don't remember my answer.
All right. Do you remember if you said this or not, that you said that he was a little bit angrier than you had ever seen him before?
You're asking if I said that on the
Asking if
phone?
you, with that, does that refresh your recollection? Is it something you said, or can you say, I didn't say that?
I could have said that.
All right. No further questions on direct.
Witness with the defendant. Yes, sir, Your Honor, thank you. Mr. Pugh, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My name is Roger Smith. I'm one of the lawyers that represents Chandler. As you stated on direct examination, you and Chandler, in addition. Yes, sir. Sure. Go ahead. addition to still being best friends with Chandler, you first met freshman year in high school in Ashburn, correct?
Yes, sir.
That would have been when you were both 15 years old?
Roughly, yes, sir.
Immediately became great friends. I think you used the word, you guys just clicked.
Yes, sir.
As far as being in high school with Chandler, he was an excellent student at Ashburn High School, wasn't he?
Yes, sir.
Graduated at the top of his class, correct?
Yes, sir.
Senior year, when he was 18, you were 18, he was president of the student body there, correct?
Yes, sir.
I believe he was in the National Honor Society.
Yes, sir.
He had a great reputation there for the high school and in the community.
Yes, sir.
It's fair to say that you two both first experimented with alcohol junior year, is that right? Junior year at Ashburn High School?
Yes, sir. Roughly junior year.
First experimented with marijuana. Same year, junior year, is that right?
Senior year.
Senior year is the first time you two experimented with marijuana, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Junior year was the first time you experimented with alcohol, right?
Yes, sir.
How often, frequent or infrequent, would you two consume alcohol in high school?
It wasn't that often. No, infrequent. Yeah, wasn't that often. No.
After you guys graduated from high school, he of course went to UNC.
Yes, sir.
You went to UNCW in Wilmington.
Yes, sir.
You had come up and visited Chandler before, obviously, the day we're talking about here, July the 18th. Had you come up to Chapel Hill before on a prior occasion to visit with Chandler?
Yes, sir.
You recall what you guys did generally on that occasion?
Football games. Yeah.
You came up to go to a football game?
Yeah, I remember going up to a football game. And
Would that have been, this happened summer of his sophomore year, after sophomore year. Did you come up to the football game during the sophomore year, or would it have been y'all's freshman year in college?
I believe it was sophomore.
Sophomore year.
Yes, sir. I believe it was.
And you went to a football game.
Yes, sir.
Did you guys go out, is that when you went to He's Not Here Before with Chandler?
I believe it was. It could have been later that night. I believe it was. Yeah.
Okay, later that night. On that occasion, did you guys drink a lot that night?
No, I wouldn't say a lot. No. No, sir.
Were you 21 at that time or 20 at that time?
20.
20 years old at that time?
Yes, sir.
Moving on to Friday, when Josh and Chandler came down to Wilmington. They got there in the afternoon around 5, I believe you said, and this would have been Friday night, July the 17th, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, Mr. Neiman approached you and showed you some texts that were going back and forth about what you guys were gonna do on the Friday night. I take it you remember that interaction with you and Mr. Neiman.
Yes, sir.
Now, those were plans that you guys were talking about a couple of days before Friday, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you guys didn't end up following through with those plans at all, did you?
No, sir. Not the tailgating part.
Okay. On the Friday night, y'all were at the apartment, guys smoked some marijuana, right?
Before the concert, yes, sir.
Before the concert. At some point, y'all went to the concert. Strike that. Y'all didn't have any alcohol to drink at the apartment before the concert, did you?
No, sir.
At some point, Chandler drove you, Josh, to the concert, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, at that concert, and I'm not gonna try to pronounce the band name. But at the concert, you could pay if you either had a fake ID or if you were 21. I know you were 21. You could pay $5 and get a wristband and drink alcohol at the concert if you wanted to, right?
Yes, sir.
None of you guys did that, correct?
What, showed paid extra $5 or,
Right. That was a terrible question. Let me ask you,
yeah.
a simpler question. Did you guys drink any alcohol at the concert?
No, sir.
Did you drink any alcohol before the concert?
No, sir.
You watched the concert, it was like, did you say it maybe lasted a couple hours?
Yes, sir. Two or so.
After the concert, you went back to your apartment, right?
Yes, sir.
Didn't have any alcohol then, correct?
No, sir. Not that I remember, no.
Then you went to bed that night at your apartment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next day, you guys woke up around 9 or 10, I believe you said.
Yes, sir.
Take it you guys got up, did you have breakfast somewhere?
Could have ate at the apartment. I don't remember stopping anywhere for breakfast.
At your apartment, the three of you guys smoked a little pot, right?
Yes, sir.
You drove in your vehicle to the beach, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You had Chandler and Josh in your car with you, right?
Yes, sir.
What kind of car was that?
It's a Land Rover.
Now, Mr. Neiman, just before I forget, I may be getting out of sort of sequence or chronological order. He asked you about a video of singing, I think it was to a Sublime song in a car. Do you remember him asking you about that?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember the video?
I do not. No, sir.
Is it possible that that video, that Chandler took a video when he was a passenger in your car, when you guys were on the way to the beach?
He could have. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember, sir. No.
Okay, that's fair enough, thank you. Were you guys, what time frame were y'all at the beach?
It's from 11 to 2 or 3, roughly.
Something in there?
Yes, sir.
Came back to your apartment, and the three of you smoked more marijuana, right?
Yes, sir.
Y'all got some food, I believe, at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
And then around 5 or 5:30, y'all left to go from Wilmington up to Chapel Hill.
Yes, sir.
Chandler drove Josh in his Jeep, you followed in your Land Rover, correct?
Yes, sir.
Around Durham, your car broke down, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You guys all pushed it into a Waffle House,
Yes, sir.
and then you just left it and got in the Jeep.
Yes, sir.
No alcohol was in the Jeep, is that right?
Not that I know of at that point. Not to my knowledge.
When you got to Chapel Hill, I believe you stated that you guys stopped at the Harris Teeter and you bought a case of Budweiser
Yes, sir.
and an 18-pack of Coors, is that right?
Yes, sir.
You went to Chandler's apartment and dropped off luggage and stuff there, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's our time frame here roughly? Is it 7-ish?
7, 8-ish.
And I know it's not gonna be, it's impossible to be exact on times, around 7:30 around?
Yeah, 7:30, somewhere around there.
Okay. You stop at the apartment at Chandler's, Mill Creek. You guys, you did not smoke any marijuana there at the apartment, did you?
No, sir.
At that point, you didn't have any
No, sir.
Okay. Chandler drives you and Josh up to Rebecca Green's at Shortbread Apartments, right?
Yes, sir.
Is that where the case of Budweiser is dropped off?
Yes, sir.
And so that leaves the 18-pack of Coors Light, Coors, correct?
Yes, sir.
You guys go back to Chandler's apartment, and that's where you start to get ready for the evening. You're showering up and changing clothes, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that when the 18-pack of Coors is opened up?
Yes, sir.
Did you drink a beer at the apartment then?
Yes, sir.
Did Josh have a beer then?
I believe so, yes.
And Chandler had a beer there?
Yes, sir.
So I take it we're talking 8:30-ish, somewhere around in there,
Somewhere around there, yes, sir.
give or take?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and this is, of course, before y'all go to the fraternity house. No marijuana smoked at the apartment then, right?
No, sir.
Okay. You each have a Coors. Chandler drives you three, after you get ready, up to the SIGEP house, obviously that we've been talking about in here.
Yes, sir.
At the SIGEP house, he parks in the fraternity parking lot, right?
Yes, sir.
And you guys take the 18-pack of Coors into the fraternity house, right?
Yes, sir.
And it's already been opened at that point.
Yes, sir.
And there's no other beer in the Jeep. You had bought, you were 21, you had bought a case of Budweiser and an 18-pack of Coors.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Chandler parks in the fraternity parking lot, and you guys take the beer in the fraternity house. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you walk into the fraternity house, I know you're not gonna be able to remember everybody's name, but about how many people are in the fraternity house when y'all go in?
Maybe eight or nine that I saw.
8 or 9 people in there.
Yes, sir.
Are they like in sort of a downstairs kind of common area? Are they upstairs?
I remember upstairs in someone's room.
They were upstairs?
They're mainly upstairs. Yes, sir.
Cut you off.
Mainly upstairs.
Mainly upstairs.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Where did y'all put the 18-pack of Coors?
It was carried with us.
In the fraternity house?
Yes, sir. It was carried up around into the fraternity house.
Just taken upstairs to the room you're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Neiman, the reason why I asked that, Mr. Neiman had asked you and sort of painted the picture that Chandler was just sort of walking around town with an 18-pack of Coors. The Coors was left at the fraternity house, isn't that right?
No, I remember before we left to go to Becca's apartment, I remember Chandler putting it in his car.
He put the 18-pack in his car then,
Yes, sir.
but didn't take it over to Shortbread.
No, sir.
Okay. When you're there in the fraternity house, marijuana was smoked. Who smoked marijuana?
I can't, yeah.
Because I know you can't remember the names.
It's maybe 6 of us. I can't remember everybody.
Roughly about 6.
Roughly 6, I would say.
Okay. Do you know if Mason McConnell was one of those people that smoked pot?
He might have been, but I'm not exactly sure.
It's the first time you met these people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at some point, a group walks to Shortbread Apartments. About what time is that?
Maybe going on 10:30 or so.
About 10:30.
10:30, 11, something around there.
When you were there at the fraternity house, we talked about you guys smoking pot. How many beers did you have roughly at the fraternity house?
The fraternity house? 2 or so. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember.
How about Chandler, if you remember?
I'm not exactly sure.
You weren't looking, you weren't keeping count?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, yes, sir.
We stop right there. Did you feel like you were impaired when you guys were walking to shortbread?
Slightly. I mean,
Slightly?
yeah, yes, sir.
Okay. What about Chandler when you were walking from shortbread? Could you tell?
I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention. Or,
No.
I mean, I don't know.
And we'll talk about later on, I'm just kind of trying to do a chronological order.
Yes, sir.
Now, you guys get into shortbread. Did you say about 15 people were there when y'all got there?
Maybe not when we got there, but eventually, 15 or so.
Okay. And you know for certain it was you, Josh, Chandler, of course. How many other people from the fraternity house walked with you over to shortbread?
Could have been 3 others. I don't remember exactly.
But rough, maybe the total group was about 6 or so.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, at shortbread, that's where ultimately shots were being taken. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you take any shots there?
No, sir.
But you know that Chandler did.
Yes, sir.
And lots of other people did.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember if you'd already mentioned Ditz, Aditya Shah's name goes by Ditz. Did Ditz meet up with you guys at Shortbread Apartments at Rebecca Green's?
Yes, sir.
Do you remember if he took shots there?
I have no idea. Not sure.
Just weren't really paying attention.
No.
How many shots did you see Chandler take?
Not exact count. Maybe 2 or so.
2 or so.
Yes, sir.
Did you see what kind of container it was taken out of?
I think it was vodka. I don't know. It could have been in like this other container. I'm pretty sure it was vodka.
But you guys didn't take hard liquor there or vodka there, correct?
No, sir. We didn't. No. No, sir.
You had, like we talked about earlier, y'all had dropped off the case of Budweiser.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any beers at Shortbread?
Yes, sir.
Do you know about how many?
I have no idea.
Do you know if Chandler had any beers at Shortbread?
I believe he had a few.
Okay, a few at Shortbread. Do you remember meeting Rebecca Green there?
Yes.
Did you see her taking vodka shots?
I believe she was, but yeah.
At some point, a group walked from there the short distance up to La Res. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What's our rough timeline, the rough time on that when you went up there?
Maybe 11:30 going on 12.
11:30 to 12
Yeah.
is when you go from Shortbread up to La Res, correct?
Yes, sir.
During that walk, or I guess at that juncture in the evening, did you feel like you were starting to get impaired?
I mean, yeah, a little bit. Yes, sir.
Could you tell about Chandler?
No, sir.
Obviously, you've known him for a long time. I mean, he didn't seem upset or angry at that point in the evening at all. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Just seemed like himself, correct?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
When you'd seen him drink in the past, I mean, is he kind of a happy-go-lucky person?
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm. Yes, sir.
He's not normally an angry drunk, if you will, right?
No, sir.
He normally doesn't get aggressive, right?
Not normally. No, sir.
Okay. You get to La Res, you're 21, so you present a real legal ID, you go in the bar, right?
Yes, sir.
Everybody else you were with was under 21, correct?
Yes, sir.
Everybody else presented a fake ID to get in the bar, right?
Yes, sir.
And Ditz was with you guys when you went to La Res.
Yes, sir.
He's, oh, well, I just asked you, he's also under 21, right?
I didn't know if he was or not, but I mean,
Well, and that's
could
fine.
have been. I mean,
That's fine. You don't know, you don't know. You do remember that the first thing that was done at La Res is Ditz buys round shots for everybody, right?
yes, sir.
It was tequila.
Yes, sir.
You took one,
Yes, sir.
Chandler took one, right?
Yes, sir.
And whoever else was with you guys took one.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember if Rebecca was with you then or not?
I do not remember.
That's fine. At La Res, you're there about an hour or so. Anything unusual happen at all in La Res? Was it just sort of a crowded bar, everything fine?
Just crowded. Yeah, nothing out of the ordinary.
The next stop is, he's not here, correct?
Yes, sir.
We talked about when you came up from the football game, that's the one time you'd been there, the only other time you'd been there before with Chandler, right?
Yes, sir.
You bought yourself a blue cup, we talked about the blue cup. It's a big 32-ounce cup of beer, right?
Yes, sir.
Chandler bought one for himself, right?
Yes, sir.
There was a band playing there, wasn't there?
Yes, sir.
Was it a Beatles cover band?
Yes, sir.
You guys watched the band some?
Yes, sir. We did.
Did you interact with Chandler a lot that he's not here?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I believe it's yes, sir.
Everything seemed okay?
Yeah.
He didn't seem agitated or upset or anything, right?
No, sir.
How are you feeling and he's not here? It's at least 1 a.m. when you guys go to he's not here, right?
Yes, sir.
At that point, how are you feeling as far as impairment goes? Are you starting to feel impaired or intoxicated at that point?
Yes, sir.
What about Chandler when you're at he's not here?
Like you're asking about impairment level, or
No, I'm asking you about impairment. I mean, did anything stick out as far as impairments goes with Chandler?
nothing out of the
When you're
ordinary?
at he's not.
No.
Okay. At 2 a.m., the bar closes at 2, of course.
Yes, sir.
It's you and Ditz, Josh, Chandler, and Case. And I think you said maybe some others. You walk out onto the bar onto Franklin Street, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's a fight, nothing to do with you guys. There's a fight going on if my back's to he's not here bars. There's a fight going on down to y'all's right.
Yes, sir.
Does that make sense? Can you understand how I'm doing this?
Yes, sir.
position?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know where Granville Towers is? Bless you, man. Do you know where Granville Towers is?
Yes. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yes.
Isn't that where the unrelated fight broke out?
It could have been. I'm not exactly sure where it was. It's kind of like a back parking lot area.
Were there lots of police out there at this point?
Yes, sir.
Was the street itself crowded? And I'm just trying to picture this. Was the street itself crowded, or was it just the sidewalks?
I don't know about the streets. Could just been the sidewalks. Yeah.
You and Ditz, you walked over to where the commotion was, where that chaos was, where the fight was going on, right?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all walk over to the Granville Towers parking lot?
Wherever that altercation was, that's where he walked to. Yeah.
But it was in a separate parking lot, wasn't it? I mean,
It was like it
wasn't-
was.
Go ahead.
It was just off to the side, barely. We just walked over there.
You and Ditz walked over and checked out whatever was going on there, correct?
Yes, sir.
And that left Chandler, Josh, and Case, they started walking up to the fraternity house, right?
Yes, sir.
You could tell before you and Ditz walked over there, that Chandler and Case, they were arguing about something, right?
Yes, sir.
And it wasn't a physical kind of altercation, correct?
Correct.
Not physical, you could just tell their voices were getting raised about something.
Yes, sir.
And I take it that didn't cause you enough concern. I mean, you and Ditz didn't go over there and go, oh, well, you know, whoa, guys, break it up. I mean, it wasn't that significant, right?
No, sir.
So Chandler, Josh, and Case, they start walking on to the fraternity, those three. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, Case had been at Short Red Apartments, is that right?
He could have been. I don't exactly remember.
He was at the fraternity house, right?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Do you remember if he smoked pot at the fraternity house? If you remember?
I don't remember.
Do you not remember, I mean, because of impairment, or just at that point, you're just not doing face name? I don't know, I'm just asking a question.
Probably just a combination of both. And like when you first meet somebody, you don't necessarily remember their name or anything. And
Sure. Chandler, Case, and Josh walk on ahead. You and Ditz were checking out the fight, the altercation going on over there.
yes, sir.
How long did y'all stay at the altercation?
It was briefly. It wasn't too long.
I mean, a few minutes, or?
Yeah, a few minutes or so.
There was enough going on to draw y'all's attention over there.
Yes, sir.
At some point, you and Ditz come back around and you start making your way up, I believe it's Columbia Street, you may not recognize the street, but y'all start walking up the street toward the fraternity house, right?
Yes, sir.
And I just wanna make sure I have this straight. Is it Josh and Case together are walking back toward you guys, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Josh had been with Case and Chandler, right?
Yes, sir. Or he just wasn't with me and Ditz when we went to the altercation.
But in any event, when you and Ditz are walking up the street toward the fraternity house, here come Josh and Case,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
Does Josh say anything to you?
Not that I remember, no.
And didn't say anything, I mean, if he had said something significant, you would have remembered that, right?
Yes, sir.
And Case didn't really say anything to you, did he?
No, sir.
He had said something significant, you would remember that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, at that point, do you know where you guys are along the street at that point?
I just know it was a long street, maybe halfway before you take that corner, and then there's the fraternity house. So I don't know what street that was, but it was a long street.
When you saw Josh and you saw Case, was Chandler anywhere inside?
No, sir.
You, Josh, and Ditz, you guys picked up the pace and started running toward the fraternity house, is that right?
Yes, sir.
That's fine for right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna take our afternoon recess at this point. During our afternoon recess period, ladies and gentlemen, should you not talk among yourselves about this case? Should you not talk to the parties, the witnesses, or the lawyers about anything at all? Further, do not to talk to anyone else. Allow anyone else to talk with you, to say anything in your presence about this case. If anyone communicates with you in any way, you need to let us know about it right away. Don't do any individual research or investigation on your own about any issue touching on this trial. have no contact with anyone participating here, and do not form or express any opinion about any issue in this trial during this time. So with that, while everyone else in court remains seated, I'm going to excuse all of you except Mr. Atkinson. I want you to stay with us for a moment, and ask that you return and assemble in the jury room at 25 minutes after the hour of 3. Again, we go with that clock. That's your excuse. Bracket play, all the jurors, except Mr. Atkinson, asked the courtroom. Mr. Atkinson, is briefly speaking, what that?
I get for a minute, I know, but I'm,
Well, from when it was pointed out to me, I can 25.
oh, what? Well,
You had your chin on your chest, your head was at a tilt, your eyes were closed, you didn't move for 25 minutes.
no kidding, wow.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
I did not realize that, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to excuse you from this participation in this case. I have no confidence that you gave us full attention to this case. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that that was involuntary. So
Oh, it was.
you're free to leave.
I can assure you.
Anything direct for the state?
There you are.
Anything direct for the defendant?
May I have just one moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
Nothing to be said, Your Honor. Thank you.
We'll be in recess 25 minutes after 3.
This honorable now stand in recess.